Hello, and welcome back to the new episode of the Capital in Command Life Story podcast. Today, I have a very interesting, unusual guest, Steve, who is sometimes known as Steven Patek, and he will tell you even more interesting story that you've heard before. Uh, as he was telling me that he was a hustler, he was a go guy, but that changed it all as life moved on. And I want to hear what changed it and how it actually began. So, Steve, introduce yourself and maybe start with that story.
Well, awesome, Alexi. Thank you for having me on Capital in Command. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to discuss the what it was to be in hustle culture. What it's kind of like when you are when you're rereading your favorite book, like as from when you're younger to when you're older, and you extract a different lesson from it. Um, like one of my favorite books was there's Hatchet. If you've ever heard of Hatchet by
Hmm.
Gary Paulson. So, but I'm not going to go into my favorite book specifically. It's when you take a look at something as a youth versus growing older. And when I was in hustle culture, a lot of it was really just about the consistency of being fed into that machine. It's almost like propaganda in a sense. And when you are going, you're feeling good, you're feeling the vibe, you're feeling like getting things done. I used to have, if I probably have an example, I think, I moved them. I'm trying to clean up. My desk area is so crazy right now. Here it is. So I had like a bullet journal, and I would have these full of notes, just thousands and thousands and thousands of bullet points. And I was the guy that had to get every check box done
Hmm.
to feel
Yeah.
good about a solid, productive day. And then I would go and participate in more. The early guys for hustle culture were like Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, Kevin O'Leary, to name a few of them. And I would just constantly go back and feed myself that content. This is
Hmm.
the dark side of social media is feeding yourself content that reinforces a certain behavior until you kind of get to a point where it's like I had definitely isolated myself. I had started to grow like that network of people, but then I also isolated myself in that same sense. And I was basically I had so many. My attention was so fragmented, and I had so many businesses going on at the same time that I was kind of losing myself in the process and leading to what would become burnout, a massive amount of burnout, and
Hmm.
trying to and it's like not just burnout, but other things in my personal life just, fell apart. I was coming to the point where I was like, as a film producer, creating and developing and then also building IP and developing around that. And then also working on just having the enough capital to invest in real estate. So I got the things done I wanted to do, but ultimately I kind of look at around the things that I achieved and like, what did it cost me? Right? What
Hmm.
did these
Yeah.
things, these achievements, as they went up and up and up and up, it's like, it's the, and for those who don't know, and I can kind of relay this, this is really interesting. Astrologically, my sign is in the zodiac is the Libra. So you have to have a balance in your life. At least someone like myself, who some of my network have described me as what would you call it, higher caliber. So I'm constantly like trying to get, how could I do this better and better and better and better and better.
Hmm.
So as a hustler, participating in like, you know, multiple different of my own jobs, right? Businesses that I've created, and I never really zeroed in on one specifically to make it, super amazing, right? Uh,
Hmm.
like I would say, you get to a certain point and things are financially really well, but as business went up, personal life went down. So it's like the
Hmm.
scales were tilting in one direction. And when I look back on it, I would tell myself a lot of my younger self. Like I would reflectively go, do this, do this, do this, do this. I look at what my dad chose to do sometimes, and I'm like, you made the best. When we have those conversations, you made the best choices for where you're from, what you believed in, the traits and characteristics that you held dear, the things that you personally believe in. And I believe in those things as well. But there's also a lot of elements that, as you collect more data and things become more prevalent, you becoming your own person, you kind of veer off and go a different way.
Hmm.
So ultimately, hustle culture created a massive amount of burnout for me I'd say about 7 years. Has it been 22? 2022. So I was in it for about 6 or 7 years. About 2022, I started to get burned out. I was in a like a three kind of a three direction job. And it was construction, roofing, and pool installation. And like I kind of got quiet to do a lot more than you know I, a lot more than I should have been doing for that particular amount of money. And that's one of the downfalls of what I call professionalism, is that when you have a friendship with the people you work with, you don't want to let them down. You're like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
sure buddy, sure. That
Yeah, yeah,
loyalty thing, I see it in high offices now, and I'm like, oh, this is going to come back and hurt everybody. Everyone's going to get trial by fire. Loyalty to because think about it like this: loyalty to an organization, um, they will burn you in order to save themselves, right? But they
yeah,
expect
yeah.
you not to burn them. So don't ever. It's do you need to do what's best for you while also doing what's required in a job position. But don't ever lose sight of yourself, or like what you want to do with your personal life. Capital is great, but as I've spoken to a handful of people who have exorbitant amounts of money, and how many times, like things that we discussed just before the podcast, how many of their kids dance recitals, music things, swim lessons, soccer games, things that family vacations, some of them are on. God, I don't want to throw his name under the bus, but one of these gentlemen is on his sixth or seventh marriage, and I'm just
Oh
like,
wow. Yeah.
whoa. But he can talk about everything. It's like and he's old enough now that he got married every 15, 20 years. And I'm like, dude, I don't know about that, man. I'm on number two, and I wouldn't trade my girl for the world, and she's helped me
Yeah.
grow exponentially. I mean, she's helped me become the best version of myself, and I hope to continue to become better, and helped me heal post. Um, Obviously, the things that break you down in your life if you let them go astray, like my personal life. Obviously, when I mentioned hustle culture, I mean, I was going up and up and up. I had, things were going solid in film. I was about to buy my second house, and have like basically two rental houses, but
Hmm.
I let my personal life, you know, I let it go. It's just like I shouldn't have, and I was so focused on building, 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 building. Um,
Hmm.
for like a future family. I was like, here's what I want to do, but I wasn't focused on the personal level of it enough, and that was my downfall. That was like my hustle culture sacrifice. Um, and then in rebuilding from there, now you know, I had to go through, I had to go through a very rough time in my life. Divorce, downfall, um, massive depression, massive going through just trial by fire scenarios,
Hmm.
trial by fire, lots of it. Um, and then here on the back end now, it's like I have, my wife is my greatest cheerleader, right? And it's like having that in a partner as opposed to what I had previously. Um, it's something that it's a total dynamic shift for me. It's just it blows my mind, and I reflect on that, the blessing that I have, every single day. I'm just like, maybe a few times a day, I'm like, how did I get this damn lucky? I don't understand. Like, it's crazy to me. Um,
Which is actually, can I interject a little bit?
yes. And
Just want to
so,
make sure that because I think you hit on a few points that I want you to highlight a little bit more. Because the
yes.
culture, it's like, again, I can relate easily with myself.
Mhm.
I found a picture from about, what is it, 16 years ago. I have a headset, which is going from here to here.
Mhm.
And then I have a second headset going here to here because
It's-
I'm on two calls at the same time. I'm literally on both conference calls, right?
yeah.
On conference calls number one and conference call number two,
Yeah.
because it's the same as you. And what we don't realize that in the hustle culture, because everything is go, 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 what people don't realize that it's actually up to you. You can regulate of how much you want to take in, or
Yeah.
you can regulate how much you want to push, but you can easily forget your loved ones. You can easily forget your personal life. You can easily forget anything, but just keep pushing because, as you said, any organization they will squeeze from you anything they can, right?
Mhm.
Because it's all about productivity, especially if it's a big corporation. It's all about productivity, how much you can output,
Yes.
and then the and what I want to highlight basically is that how can you, maybe if you can explain a little bit more of what made you transition from this, because one thing is obviously you remarried. I'm actually remarried too, second time, but it's been 21 years coming up in June 4th. So I have literally 21 years after my second marriage. So happily married as well. But from that perspective, like would not change a thing. But
Mhm.
it changed because again, I was already married second time, but I almost killed myself, not literally, but by being in that hustle culture,
Mhm.
being in that go go go,
Yeah.
living on 12 cups of coffee a day. So it's just crazy, and I'm actually not exaggerating. I was drinking that much coffee. Now I'm drinking none. So zilch. So maybe can you highlight a little bit what made you to what was that shift? What actually almost broke you? Right when you realized that it's breaking you, what made you realize that, oh, I actually need to change my life? What changed the trajectory of your life? Basically, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. So first of all, congratulations on, 20 plus years in your second marriage. Um,
Yeah, thank you.
I hope to, be able to reflect back in a position like yours and say, wow, speaking about my kids' athletic events and hey, here's where our daughter's going now and here's what's up next. And I'm like, I hope to be able to do that. That's pretty awesome. And additional kudos to remembering the dates. Not a lot of people, sometimes people have to like open up their calendar book and what was the date again? Oh shit.
In our family, I am the one remembering the day. So let's put it this way. So I need to remind her, hey, our anniversary is coming up. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, yes, indeed. So,
nice. So the transition point, honestly, was there was a series of things. It was the obviously the initial breakdown. It's like I still have days that'll be embedded in me forever, like dates on the calendar. And
mhm.
eventually, I'm told that that passes with time, but there's like every date of when something massive, a shift, and it's like, and I'll sit there and I'll, one of my mentors, I'll throw his name out there, Robin Sharma. It's one of his biggest brain tattoos is in order to heal a wound, you must feel a wound, and going through what I have and basically identifying, yes, this is something I feel. I feel this pain. I feel something I'm going through right now, but it's going to pass. As long as I don't make any erratic decisions uh, to end myself. Right. As long as I could just sit in a room, like listen to music, stay still, don't do anything crazy. Sometimes people go off the deep end. It's just what happens. But over a period of time, I found, and this is a kind of a moniker for my dad. He's just like, I found red wine. So I picked up a bunch of books, and for about 90 days straight, after shit hit the fan, for about 90 days straight, I found myself for probably 10 hours a day. When I wasn't work, I was 10 hours a day, and I would have wine and I would be reading. and I would be reflecting and I would be processing. I spent a lot of time, um, the back of my house, at this place I call the Ridge. And at the Ridge, it's like the edge of the property before it drops like 100 feet into a creek. And I'm surrounded by oak trees and sassafras trees, and I can hear, the insects and the birds and the squirrels and the frogs. And it's like I'm surrounded in this
Mm.
consistently for 90 days. So as I'm going through this, the starting steps of this healing process, I found myself out there a lot, kind of in a doing my best to process. Right, it's processing an immense amount of pain that you're going through, and then from there, it's kind of like, okay, the next step. The next step is, I ended up I made some bad decisions and I ended up getting hurt physically. And so I was kind of out of commission. I had to have leg surgery, and I was probably out of commission for another 3 months on that. Right, I was kind of pretty immobilized. So now the irony at the end of the first 90 days and the second 90 days, right? This is 6 months. Within this period of time, like right at the very facet. I remember I had just started speaking to my now wife at the end of this, and I still remember there was a voice in my head that came and said, "You still have work to do," right? And that was just before I met my wife Nicolette, and I find it so funny where I was at. What I didn't I, When I first started speaking to her, I didn't I didn't think anything serious of it. I was like, okay, you know here is somebody who is very unique, very capable. She's intelligent. Um, she's cultured. She's coming from. I call her a diamond in the rough, right? She's a very unique individual coming from a very I would say a tumultuous place, right? So, but her father lived to a ripe old age. He was like in his late 90s and just taught her so much. And when I'm able to go back and reflect on like how incredibly lucky I was to have met her when I did, and then to kind of begin the real healing journey, right? So it's like there was periods of time where I had to go trial by fire. I had to heal. I had to heal from a previous pain, um, and when I met her for the first time, there was just this grand feeling. I don't know. I think it was just like a way that she was sitting, and something just I don't know. It was weird. We were at this we were at this cafe, and she was just sitting a specific way, and it's like something just clicked to me. I'm like, oh my god, I think I love you. Like, wait, it was like third or fourth date, and I was like, oh my god. So, and that feeling has only increased from there, thankfully, right? It's not to say, it's not to say that obviously as a couple you're not going to experience like the butt head sometimes, but it's like
Yeah.
you know it things have worked in a positive fashion, and I couldn't see myself with anybody else. Now when I'm taking a look at like things that really clicked, it was intervals. It was like I went through trial by fire and I had to heal here, and I went through the next trial by fire and I had to heal here. And so then finally, I get through this next thing, and I'm like, and in this healing journey, I'm also I was seeking a lot of guidance. I was seeking as much guidance as I could possibly get, and it would click, right? I would kind of feel it coming, and I'm the type of person when I feel something inevitable coming, and my wife will tell you, it's just like he'll fight it. He'll fight. He will fight. He will fight the shit out of it. He will fight it.
Mm.
That was who I am, right? That's just my nature. I will fight something unless I feel it, and then I eventually will say, okay, it's the right thing. Um, I think I get that from my dad. It's like he'll fight something, and it's kind of like, okay, all right,
Mm.
it's good, it's right, and it's likely inevitable. So, um, but in that, it's my healing and my steps and my trajectory have kind of come in intervals. Most of the time, it's when something, and I think it was I have a spiritual buddy who lives up north of me a couple hours, and how would I describe this? He said, at the certain times, things where I was hitting these brick walls, he would say, "You're going too fast. You need to slow down." And if you don't slow down willingly, the universe is going to make you slow down. And after I had my accident and I had to have leg surgery, he's just like, "But I tell you, Steve, what did I tell you?" I'm like, "All right, fine. You're right. Whatever." he's like, he's like, "Are you going to listen now?" "Yes, I'll listen." He goes, "Good." So healing takes, and I hope I was able to, in some form or fashion, answer your question there.
Yeah. So I mean but again. So we are almost talking for 20 minutes, but what you still didn't tell
Oh
is
no, I
okay.
missed
So
it.
from the hassler, what are you now?
What am
Where
I
you are
now?
now? Yeah. What are you now?
Ah,
Like you transitioned, so you healed, but into what?
yeah.
So what are you now? What would you characterize yourself as now?
Um,
And what do you do now too? Right now.
well, I do a few different things, and so now I'm an architect and an operator for the SIM system. It stands for Seismic Infrastructure Management System, and what it is basically it's a system that helps infrastructure communicate conditions in real time. And so instead of like guessing after something fails, like think about like houses and roads and all that. Think of smart cities. So having deployable intelligence, right? Something here, something like this you can stick in the ground and it tells you exactly what you want to know. So I'm developing something that gives you real time data about infrastructure, right?
Hmm.
Any kind
Yeah.
of building, and it takes a lot to develop. So for that, I am a architect because I'm building the code, my own code branch, and I'm also working on the field deployables, right? That can provide me data that I work with. So both of those elements are being built from scratch, and then I also do real estate. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams, and I work with first time. My niche is first time home buyers and investors. They kind of want the same thing,
Hmm.
And I've got my if you follow my realtor page, Steve Patek Budget Beauties. My brand is Budget Beauties, right?
Hmm.
Um, I have my criteria list when I look through a property. So for the SIM system, I'm a systems architect and an operator. I'm also a real estate agent, and then I'd say the current day job. I've taken it as a means of opportunity and growth, and it wasn't something that I would have naturally gravitated to. But when I tested it out just to see and all the things I could do with it, I kind of turned it into a learning opportunity slash lab, and that is working with the special needs. So
Hmm.
it's there's a lot of things that I think a lot of I'm doing that to develop my empathy skills. Empathy, uh, kind of like linear learning styles. I always believe that there are different means of learning, and if you think you like there's a particular box, I'm seeing myself in a box right now. So it's like
Yeah.
you have to think outside. I don't know. Are you on this side?
No, on the
Oh,
other
you're on
side.
this side.
Yeah, on the other
Oh,
side.
okay.
Yeah.
So so put my arm around you, Alexi, and if
Yeah.
you think you understand all the ways that there are to learn, try learning a different way, right? Try learning a
Hmm.
different way. The ways that we learned in school don't always apply in real life anymore. The data is different. Things are changing so fast, and you need to be adaptable. And one of the
Hmm.
things that I'm learning, more specifically, especially with the onset of AI, is to develop my weaker skill sets. And it's like my stronger skill sets are what they are, and I can continue to develop and work around them, or I could go on this side and work on my weaker skill sets. And empathy was one of my weaker skill sets. And so that's part of my personal development and leadership journey, is building my, almost like in an RPG game, right? It's like
Mhm.
if your crafting is low, if your I don't know, your defense skills are low, go work on your crafting and defense. And that's what I've kind of looked at it like that. I need to work on different skill sets. So working with the special needs has led me down a very, very unique path on what I can test for, working with them, helping them with what they need to gain a better life and independence. In addition to when I'm reflecting at the end of the day, or even during the middle of the day, I'm learning things about the likes and dislikes. I'm learning things about neurological components, brain chemicals, body chemistry, all kinds of things. You'd be
Mm.
really surprised when you sit down and you're consistently day after day after day. It's not just a routine thing like this. It really expands. If the type of person that likes to
Mm.
reflect, I do a lot of self and personal reflection on how could I be better? How could I be doing more? How could I introduce something? How could I turn this into a cool lab? What if I wanted to take this into an educational position? What do I need to do to simplify it? So to answer the additional question of what am I now? It depends. It really depends. I'm multifaceted, very capable, and I'm the type of person you could drop in almost any environment, and I'm going to find a way to make the environment. I'm going to find how to make it more efficient.
Mm. Okay. So, but what's interesting though, how did you make that leap from media production, basically being producer, all of a
Yes.
sudden to the Sims system with building, like it has nothing to do with one with another, kind of seemingly.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, you explained that you were expanding your basically mind by
Yes.
helping the special needs people. That's great. That kind
Mhm.
of I can see that leap. But how did you make that other leap?
How do I make?
Yes, you were in real estate originally as well. Like, did
Yeah.
it lead one to and
real
lead
estate.
one to
Real
another,
estate
or
is
what? The
it's housing. It's
yeah,
numbers. It's sales. It's infrastructure, right? So to me,
yeah.
the sim system, finding a way to make infrastructure smarter, is just you're working. It's the same thing, infrastructure. And how do I make the leap from being that's project management? So if you just strip it down to what it is in its essence, it's not. And I have the best thing that AI has helped me do with myself is to like basically compile lists and help me box and categorize things most effectively.
Mm.
So I cross the lines. I mean, I with the special needs clients, I use some of my stories to test stories still. Like I take my existing IP, and I'll have a group on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll gather all the clients that we have at the facility. There's like 20 of them, and I'll read one of my stories and say, "What did you guys like best?" So it's like it's like a test lab, right? What did you guys, or
Mm.
a test group, right? What did you guys like about this? What do you think needs to be better? What do you think about this character? What do you think about this theme? What do you like best about the villain? Right? And or if I'm doing something with the sim system, it's I'll show them a picture of the infrastructure. I'll show them what it does, how it works, and they'll literally give me feedback on, well, if this does this, then what does? And I'll go, and we go, that's a good question. I hadn't thought about that. How does A and B connect to C? I need to figure that out. So when I get home tonight, I'll figure that out. And by our next group, um, I'll have an answer for that, and we'll keep working on that. So it's
Mm.
being able to, keep moving the wheel forward. All these things to me are very interconnected. Storytelling, infrastructure, project management. It's just varying skill sets that revolve inside of me. So making a transition from A to B really isn't leaving one thing and going to another entirely. It's these things are still very much interconnected to me. So
Mm.
I can I can go and take a look at a code, and I can take a look at printed circuit boards that connect to things, and I can go, okay, this is infrastructure, and then I can turn to another page and see blueprints to a house, um, structure. This is structure. This is structure, and over here, story has structure. So
Mm.
once you're able to basically cross wire these things, then it's like you see the similarities. It's like somebody who works on a car and an airplane, they see it as one unit that moves something some way. They both run on gas. They both have windows. They both have a frame. They both, and you see all the
Hmm.
similarities, and then you could just cross weave. I mean, that's really all there is to it.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying like it's the leap because maybe because you were doing management in the media side of things, in the
Yes.
producer area. That's
Yeah.
how it transitioned. Because I mean, it's not that easy to see that. Oh, being in the entertainment business, somehow
Mhm.
you are now in the managing the sims basically for buildings, for infrastructure and for buildings integrity,
Yep.
or the health of the buildings. Right? It's just so different. So that's like the
I
one that seems to be not like nothing with the other, like has nothing with the other, right? So
I mean, it all depends on But I've been doing the thing I do for so long that it's one of those things where you know it's okay to be a business. It's people who are, as Steve Jobs said, only the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world actually do. And it's I'm completely used to being people seeing these things very differently. But for me, I look at it and go, I'm waiting to introduce my iPhone. So that's it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
ironically, that's an Android. So I'm
yeah.
like, but
iPhone here. Actually, even though my daughter has an Android, my wife has an Android, but my
yeah,
oldest daughter has an iPhone. So we have like literally half and half split in our household. Half Android, half
real. No,
iPhone. So yeah,
so who started that for you guys?
because I used to be carrying not the BlackBerry, the phone HTC
Yeah, yeah,
way back. So I
yeah,
used to have HTC, which is Android in
yeah,
essence. And then in 2010, I said, you know what? When the X, like the 10,
yeah.
the iPhone 10 comes out, I'll get the iPhone 10 because
Hmm.
they already fixed all kinds of bugs. It's already bigger screen, nicer screen, and then it came out with a new complete kind of like a face thingy with the swipes. Basically, it's like a different type of interface. And the HTC was going either bankrupt or
Hmm.
basically they were kind of dwindling down. And I was a hardcore HTC guy, so I'm like, okay. So I went on an Android. From Android to this, but my wife's like, no, I'm gonna stay with my Samsung. And then my oldest daughter, because I don't know how it usually goes for different people, but when you have two daughters,
Hmm.
usually the youngest becomes mom's daughter and oldest
Oh,
the
really?
dad. Well, because they're only 3 years apart.
Yeah.
And so when my second was born, somebody has to take care of the oldest one while my wife is preoccupied with the infant.
Hmm.
Right? It's 24/7 infant. It has to be preoccupied. So I was preoccupied with my oldest one. So I had to do a lot of other things with her together. And it kind of stayed with us. So we're always doing things together. We're always
Yeah.
doing it forever and ever now. Right. So she's like, oh, I want to have iPhone like dad. So now we have iPhone over there, but my youngest one again, because she was more
Yeah.
with mom. So like, oh, I want to have Samsung.
Yeah.
Even though right now she's almost 16, she's like, I want to have iPhone now. I am tired of the Samsung. It glitches more. So anyway, I'm not here to advertise Samsung or iPhone. Either way, but it's just again different dynamics
Yeah,
in
no,
the world and the
it makes
families.
perfect sense. That your older
Yeah,
daughter gravitated towards you, so she wanted what dad had. And
yeah,
then the
exactly.
younger one
Youngest one
gravitates
gravitates toward
towards
the
your wife,
mom,
so she
so
wants
she
what
wants
mom
to have
has.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
just my
funny.
wife's like, I don't like that swiping thingy. Like, I don't like it. Even though right now, Samsung does almost the same thing. It's just she wanted to have more flexibility,
Yeah.
which comes with Android, supposedly. Speaking of flexibility,
Mhm.
so a couple of things that we still kind of didn't discuss.
Okay.
you got to mention a little bit of this, but I want to know a little bit more, if you can say,
Okay.
knowing right now all the things that you know right this moment, right? All
Mhm.
the things that you've done, expanded mind.
What would I tell
Um,
my younger self?
yes, exactly. What would you tell your younger self? And depending on how far you want to go younger, like could be 10 years younger, maybe 20 years younger self. What would you tell yourself with all the knowledge of now?
Hmm.
Don't do something or do something. Like, what would you tell? Like, don't be afraid of doing this.
I've
Because
never, you
clearly
know,
you would probably say, like, don't do the hustle culture. Like, don't be so ingrained in hustle culture. Slow down.
I mean, there's a, I'm leaving. I will probably leave, lots of journals to be discovered, for my kids after I'm gone and all that, all the things that can be said. If I were to reflect back, a lot of it's, you know, uh, it's like I can remember things from the past. It's like, dude, you're in for a hell of a ride, and don't be. I mean, it's just like, don't be afraid of some of the things that you think you're afraid of. Don't be afraid of them, because it's a lot of the things that you think are permanent stables in your life right now are not. The things you
Hmm.
think are
Yeah.
permanent in your life are not permanent. So don't be afraid to lose them. And I mean, family structure, friends in and out of your life, you know, um, that can go for, like, business mentors. I've had business mentors betray me. It's like, don't be afraid of losing things, because you will lose a lot of things, but as you grow older and wiser, you're going to gain a lot as well. So
Hmm.
it's not, I don't have the relative, I'm afraid to do something because fear. It's more like the people in my life, right? What's the consistency level? And during the lowest times, I think the lowest times is when you really test who your friends, like who your
Yeah. Yeah.
like the good family and your friendships during the lowest times in your life. This is when these people will come out of the woodworks and support you.
That's how
Um,
you know who is a friend, who is just an acquaintance, right?
yeah,
That's pretty much literally. That's
yeah,
how you test who is a friend.
it's all trial by fire. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to lose people. The people who are not supposed to continue in your life as you make your directional journey, whatever it may be, they're not going to be consistent. And anybody who comes to you with their hand out first, they're already out. So
Mm. All
it's
right.
not
Yeah.
it's not how are you doing? Hey, let's catch up. That's great. I'm so happy for you. There's so many people who are going to come and just be. I mean, there's going to be straight up jealous. The more, and it's just like, I have to be authentically me. A lot of people think I talk too much. I've talked faster. I've talked slower. More people. Some people want, they want. Some people just, they come in your life and they want something. I've had people, they don't talk to me for more than 5 minutes before they ask for money.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what the hell gives you the impression that this, just because being, and this is kind of like a throw in there too, for anybody who has to hear it to the side, but just because somebody's face is all over social media does not mean that they are, like, immensely wealthy. It just means
Hmm.
you're pushing a little bit harder to get your content seen. You know,
Yeah.
you're pushing a little bit harder.
Yeah,
So
that's true. You just reminded me. Little side story.
yeah,
We're flying to. I think we were going to Las Vegas last year with my daughters, and no, actually, I was going to Boston because we were checking the colleges as she's going to go to colleges now.
yeah,
My oldest one, and like just two of us, and we're flying in, and she's like, "Dad, Dad, Dad!" Like, what? See this guy? Yeah. He's from this blah 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 show, some kind of a show.
hmm,
She watches whatever the show is. Like, he's the character from that show. He's actually an actor, and it's a slow moving line. We are sitting up front because again, I'm usually ordering, like not ordering, but buying the tickets which are closer to the front, not the business class, but closer to the front.
yeah, yeah.
And this guy is going all the way to the back, to the by the toilets kind of seats. Like, so he's sitting all the way to the back, and she's looking it up like, oh yeah, his estimated net worth is $200,000. Okay, got it. So it's like, yes, but he was famous. He was like all over the place at some point in time. His face was all over the place, but you don't know what's going on with that person.
Oh yeah.
Just because, as you said, just because they're famous, seemingly famous, and they may not actually have a lot of money themselves or be really famous or actually want to be recognized for that matter either.
Yeah,
So that's
you
just
know,
part of it.
there's everybody's got something different going on, and I think,
Yeah.
you know, it again, me being a Libra, understanding the imbalance that I experienced just years ago, right? And what, you know, the imbalance was sacrifice, and where did it lead me? So now I try to, you know, understand that it's like everybody is coming at something differently, and I think the most valuable thing you can really give somebody, honestly, is just to listen to them, because there are so many people that want to talk. Ironically, with myself, horrifying, right? I used to be that guy too. I hate my older self. I was just like, dude, you know, I reserve I reserve a lot of talks, right? And the thing I love about, you know, what you've offered today is a platform for me to talk, because I'm not going to do this otherwise, right? Unless somebody comes up to me and has a question, and I'll tell them, it's like, hey, here's how it is. I try to shoot as
Hmm.
straight as possible. Um, but you don't know what's going on in anybody else's life. And I think, you know, I had the opportunity to meet a couple billionaires, and they, on paper, you'd be like, wow, you know, oh my God, et cetera, et cetera. But then it's kind of
Hmm.
like you sit down after, you know, it's like if they really want to open up after a couple drinks, right? Is generally when
Hmm.
that happens. Um, in vino veritas, as they say, in wine truth. You know, I think that I think the last one I spoke to over a year ago, he had 3 kids and they all hated him.
Hmm.
He's got he's over $20 billion net wealth, and all 3 of his kids hate him. I was just like, how do you, you know? And I sat there and I listened to him. I didn't realize who exactly he was at first, you know.
Hmm.
And then I sat there and I listened to him, and I'm like, and what'd you say your name was again? And I looked him up, and I'm like, oh shit, because I had listened to his story for a little bit before I knew who he was,
Hmm.
you know. And I got to meet the person before I got to meet the title of anything, you know.
Yeah.
Like in the news, they'll say
So no bias,
billionaire
which is
so and
nice, right?
so.
You didn't have a bias, which is
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
I just, you know, it's like the
Yeah.
most valuable thing you can do to somebody is just listen, not to
Yeah.
somebody,
That's true.
for somebody.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen for you. That's the thing I'm going to do.
It's like I don't want you to listen. Listen, I will listen.
Yeah,
So,
I say, hey man, how's it
yeah.
going? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So, because I think we're like 43 minutes into this, and I don't want to. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
what?
nice story, but I don't want people to think that we're gonna be here like for 2 hours.
Oh well,
Some
yeah,
people
man.
don't want to be
If you got
listening
questions,
for
I can
that
answer.
long. Speaking of listening, right?
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to, before we wrap it up,
Yes.
what if you tell me? Because again, obviously, it's not known exactly, but what do you what your future will look like? What do you think you're heading toward? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Especially as you get older and wiser, this thing changes for us all the time, right? Because when we're young, it's like, oh yeah, I want to get the cool car, I want to get the have freedom, whatever the hell that means, right? As we get older, like, oh yeah, I've had enough of that freedom. I actually want to be settled in now. So, like, what are you looking for now?
I mean, I'm not after the stuff necessarily. I would like the freedom, and I'm not after things. It's really, it's really to have known that my life mattered, and that I made a dent in the positive forward trajectory of humanity.
Hmm.
Um, I when I take a look at the ultimatum, and I ask people this a lot, now that I have the perspective I have, it's like, build an ultimatum for yourself. And if it's, like, really self-assess, like, ask yourself, is this really the best I ask myself this question, is this really the best I can do? is this the best I
Hmm.
can do? Really? I mean, sure, like I could have gone after, $1 million house and I could have a Ferrari. And if I put forth the extra, like if I went back to how I used to be, yeah, I could have these things. Sure, no problem. But then there's stuff, right? There's stuff, they go down in value. I'm not an ego driven person to that degree. I'm more of like, I want for, I want to add as much positive value. So to me, that is the sim system is just the beginning. It is my involvement, is my precipice involvement for the Leo economy, which is low Earth orbit. And I recognize that in my background, I'm not going to be hired by a SpaceX or a Blue Origin or a NASA. I recognize that. But I can find another means of involvement, another route. And so that's the aim. The aim
Mm.
starts with developing like the seismic infrastructure management system, and it's where it leads to from there. Now, where it's leading to from there, well, people are just going to have to follow me and find that one out. I do have an entire built out. I have a trajectory, and I call it well, I don't call it that. I found it elsewhere. It's called the law of linkage, and I think it's like, what is it? It's about 15. There's 15 boxes, and I'm on box one going to box two. And it's going to take me the remainder of my natural life to get to box 15 if I live that long. If I showed you some of the things I'm working on right now, you would be like, what the F? Because sometimes I look at the things that I've been working on for the last 3 years and have just now started to realize realistic design, thanks to me basically duking it out with my desired AI of choice for designs, and I'm constantly poking holes in and trying to perfect the design.
Mhm.
I'm like, if I live long enough, this is going to be awesome. But if I don't live long enough, what am I handing off to my kids, right? It's like, here's what I'm handing to you. You finish it because I didn't live long enough. But I've kind of got an entire line. Today, it's just the Sim systems, the Sim system. And ideally, the goal with that, right? I've said it a lot, architect and operator, this thing, the goal is to save lives. I saw a video a few years ago when I first kind of like daydreamed it up. I saw a video, and I believe it was in Myanmar or Singapore, and there was an earthquake, and people died. And I said, man, wouldn't it have been great if, like, we can send people to space, we can do all of these things, right? But we couldn't protect people from an earthquake. In my perspective, like that's one of my that's the something I believe I can get solved. I can solve this problem, and then I'm going to utilize this, much like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel sold X PayPal.com, and then basically use that as financial leverage to the next thing.
Mhm.
You have to build something or participate in something to a certain degree, get your capital investment, and then use that as leverage to the next thing. And that's kind of where
Mhm.
I'm at.
Mhm.
Once I saw that, I'm like, okay, so I need to solve a problem. I need to sell a solution to a thing like earthquakes, and it from there, right? It branched and branched and branched and branched for 3 solid
Mhm.
years.
Mhm.
When I first came up with it in early 2023, and so I want to make an impact. I want to save lives, and I want to help. I want to participate in the expansion of the human experience and make life better for people, and in the way I can find. And for me, this is something that I'm passionate about, and so I
Mhm.
spend many hours a day, and I'm like, okay, let's build, perfect, build, perfect, and ultimately, once I have something that can be sold, um, with a plan attached to it and data to support it, and all the proposals and whatnot required. I'm going to do that, and then I take that as my branching point.
Mhm.
So So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
No, it's a nice goal. I don't even have that kind of goals myself, so it's very interesting. Very interesting. That's why I said that as I was starting the whole episode, like you're very unusual story. So it's not the typical you hear from people.
yeah.
Like they have more smaller, down to earth goals.
I
You
want to
have a
help. I
little
want
bit
to
more
help us get above the earth.
yeah, yeah. You have like a more above the earth goals, which
Yeah,
is nice, nice. Yeah, yeah. It's a good analogy with Elon Musk, because I mean that's how he started Tesla, right?
yeah,
Because and then now he's doing the SpaceX
yeah. And
because he wants to go to Mars. Yeah,
they're about to have the largest IPO in recorded history, like 1.75 trillion.
yeah.
So I think
Well, he himself is about to become a trillionaire,
yes,
first trillionaire.
yeah.
Nobody else. He is the first human being to be a trillionaire, right?
Now it's
So
guys like that that inspire me. It's just what they're able to achieve with their wealth and their platform. I'm not going to
yeah,
speak to any of his politics. It's what he's
yeah.
able to do as an individual in that respect, and that is clearly where a person like that inspires someone like me is what he was able to, with his drive, his charisma, his personality. Um, those alone, right? Can't say anything else about.
Yeah, we're not here for political views either. Yeah, there's some
Yeah,
crazy, and he's one of those eccentric, crazy people too, if you think about it, and his own problems. If you probably talk to him
if you
like
talk,
this,
as if you
you'll
talk to
hear a
someone
completely
that's
different
like,
story from coming from him, right,
yeah,
from inside.
it's not like I would sit down at an airport bar and not recognize him.
No,
No.
yeah, you'll recognize it unless you fold it, like you don't know who you're talking to. Even though probably you will recognize it by voice too, but that's a
Yeah,
different story.
a guy like that is so oversaturated in our media. It's kind of like you
Yeah,
wouldn't not know who he is.
yeah,
So, but yeah,
that is true. That is true. Anyway, so Steve, it's very nice to have you on this podcast. As
Alexis,
I
it's been a
was
pleasure.
saying at the beginning, very unusual story, unusual leaps and bounds of. I've never heard anyone actually do that. So you're like exactly. I mean, you're inspired by Elon Musk because I think you're trying to behave like him too, because which is unusual. Not many people do that. So yeah, it has nothing to do with political views. It's more of the how to approach the life, right? So I
Mhm.
very appreciate your time here. Very nice for you to give your time here too and
Yeah.
tell your own story. And given what you have as plans,
Mhm.
it's possible that maybe we'll have another episode somewhere in the future because you'll probably do some more things along the way, right? You'll come up with new things already,
I'm looking
so
forward
we
to
can
it.
would be nice that you will not forget me either, like as you become famous over there, and
Absolutely.
we'll see where that goes. But otherwise, thanks again for this nice episode, and we will talk next time. Right?
All right, Alexi,
Bye.
appreciate it. I'm giving you kind of, you're on this side, right? I'm giving you a
Yeah,
side
yeah. You're on this
hug.
side. Okay.
Good deal.
Bye.
All right, see you later.